to Beyond the Ring, a podcast that covers all things in the stock show industry from the informative to the insane. Starring Ryan Rash.
As long as you've got passion, faith, and a work ethic, you can do anything you want in life.
And Dale Hummel.
You are a lying, dog-faced pony soldier.
Now on with the show.
Welcome to Beyond the Ring. This is Dale Hummel, along with co-star Ryan Rash.
Hello, hello, hello.
Ryan, we've had more going on this week than usual.
This has been a very, very busy little week. I'm not gonna lie.
It has been busy. It's been good on a personal level from our standpoint. So we had a chance to judge in Florida together. You had a chance to judge at the State Fair of Texas. It's been good, but busy. And then if we go to the political side, it's been a train wreck.
Joe Biden is at a whopping 38% approval rating, so it's great.
That part is the bright spot, I would say.
It seems like now, which I mean, I don't know how many crises one administration can have, but like they've got several. But now inflation is the biggest crisis.
I was gonna talk about that as well, and amazing. The good thing about this, let's go rainbows and butterflies here. So in my mind, inflation's about the only thing that's going to wake up some of these voters. It seems like Joe ignores Afghanistan, southern border, crime, and the public just ignores it with him. They just kind of follow suit. If it doesn't exist in his world, the public, there's a portion of them that just follows suit. But the two big indicators that I think consumers, it will hit home with them, and that's what you just mentioned, inflation. I paid $5.13 a gallon for fuel in Orlando, Florida. I know we're in Florida. I know it's Orlando. I know I was close to the airport. I don't care about all of those things.
You said Mickey bit you in the ass on the gas prices.
Mickey did get me. So gas prices, not just there, but they're going up everywhere, and people feel that. Whether you talk about inflation or not, that they will feel, and when they go to the grocery store. No question, food and fuel are going up, and I'm really hoping that this will impact people hard enough that they realize, wow, this just is not working. And speaking of Florida, since it's dark and raining here right now, Ryan, I'm going to go with the rainbows.
Well, it wasn't like Florida weather was just great this weekend either, so I don't know what you...
Oh, it was a little humid, a little warm. It wasn't terrible, I didn't think.
Okay.
The deep sand in the show ring, the boots, and the little ankle issue that I had went much better than it did in Texas.
Uh-huh.
Much better.
Yeah, because I did all the walking.
You did do that. I would have to thank you for that. So we did get to judge the Showbiz at the Sands show this weekend. I did some goats and Ryan did some lambs. Then we did the cattle together. But I want to go to one of the bright sides of that show. I believe it was the first day that we were there, Ryan. The distributor for Boxel called Ryan over to that little area, and they had a Ryan Rash show box. And there was
glorious.
Beautiful. It was touching. There was a father that did not tell his daughter that she was getting it, I believe, or bought it as a surprise. Ryan came over, autographed it for her, got a picture with her. I mean, this made this girl's entire year, and it's wonderful when you see things like that. Do you remember the little girl, Olivia, the keychain girl?
Yes, that's the daughter of the
distributor. Yep.
Yes.
That little girl, she showed a few goats, and then we got to visit with her briefly after the cattle show. But her excitement and enthusiasm level is just contagious. I like that little kid. Those are the kind that
I know you posted about her on the Facebook and made her famous.
Yes, if we're ever going to be political in the show ring, Ryan, we take that little girl
and
just move her up one notch. She's so happy. In the ring. All right.
Jesus Christ.
Okay. Speaking of Boxel, again, we appreciate their sponsorship. It is something that we've talked about several times, and I've talked about their blowers. We have the Ryan Rash show box. The fact that Boxel has jumped in here to sponsor the podcast and help this continue is appreciated by me. I hope as listeners, I know to a lot of you are new. I would appreciate anything you can do and just give them a try or look at what they have to offer or give them a call, check out their website. We appreciate the sponsorship, and if we can do something to help that company continue as they're doing with our podcast and getting more educational information out to the world, it is a good thing. It's good karma, Ryan. Good karma.
I just think they should go to the social media page because he's funny.
I would agree. He's pretty good at that social media. I'm not sure Mr. Boxall that we deal with. I would almost say that he's full-time social media, but I think he does a lot of other things as well.
I don't know. So that's all you have on current events is inflation? That's it?
No. I can go much deeper.
I was like,
much
Jesus, this
further.
is going to be the quickest
Well,
ever.
Don't you think, I guess maybe we should take it back. I hope our listeners remember, Ryan, before the 2020 presidential election, do you remember us screaming from the rooftops about how bad it could be?
Oh, yeah.
Joe Biden was elected. You want me to tell you where we're at right now?
DEFCON 0.
Take everything we said times 10.
Ooh.
It is the biggest recipe for disaster that I've seen in my lifetime. What about the Biden tax and spend bill?
I don't know. And now Mitch McConnell folded on the debt relief ceiling thing. I don't like that man. I don't.
No, and I'm conflicted there. I don't have a good answer. I don't know what's right on those things.
I don't,
because
like
if they don't go along with it, then the Democrats point at the Republicans for saying, well, the government can't function because they won't raise the ceiling. It's kind of a mess. But I have been trying to dig deep into this 10,000 page of everything the far left has ever wanted, is maybe the best way for me to put it, Ryan. Every green socialism handout, entitlement, I don't even know how to describe it all, but everything that any far left liberal ever wanted is in this tax and spend bill. Everything. And if we go down this path, within the bill, Ryan, there's a pathway for 8 million illegal immigrants to vote in the 2024 presidential election.
Oh, that's great.
Think about 8 million votes that were strategically placed in swing states. What does that do?
Oh, don't even start. I can't. You're going to give me hives.
No, and they're loading these planes up and literally shipping the illegal immigrants all over the country. I know where some of them are going. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist or anything like that. I'm just being real.
That's why they're shipping them all to Ohio.
Florida. Yeah.
They cannot work in Florida. It's not going to work.
They get enough of them. There are 8 million, Ryan, and they continue to come in by the thousands every month. And again, I'm sure some of these people are very, very good people, but I can assure you that it's opened that pathway across the border for the drug lords and all the bad to come across with no disturbance whatsoever. The border agents are just so overwhelmed. And there's no question in my mind that we're going down a path that some of the European countries went down a decade ago or more that has not worked. Socialism is not going to work. I don't care what Nancy Pelosi says that capitalism is failing. That's crap. Absolute crap. Joe Biden is doing one thing right now. He's going to have a legacy. And Ryan, you and I know what the legacy will be. It'll be a disaster is when we look back in history. But he thinks if he can pass this monster spending bill and put us on a path of socialism, that he'll have something to go down in history with.
He's going down in history, all right, but I don't think it's the way he wants. Like, again, I still want to know who Oz is because these people are a disaster. Like, just a disaster. Like, I don't know how you can how do you get a job and screw up everything?
I don't know.
Everything.
Ryan, just like you use the border as an example. I don't give Joe Biden any credit. Maybe he was intelligent at one point. I don't know. But I know he's lost cognitive abilities, so I can't put a finger on if he was or wasn't intelligent. Right now, there's issues. No question. Don't care what it is. There's issues. So if you look at that, if he's still cognitive and still has any intelligence about him, he is absolutely doing this intentionally. And whether he's doing it intentionally or not, this is what they want to happen. It's not by a mistake. This is something they want to happen, and it makes sense. If they can do this and they can push this monster bill through Congress, they're going to have that many more voters by 2024, and they're going to need them as backwards as Joe has gone in the polls and all the crap that he's screwed up.
Well, and he's running again. He has announced that.
Yeah, I can't even believe that.
Mhm.
That honestly shocked me.
I think it shocked everybody. I mean, but like, I don't care what that old man says. I do not. They can get 16 million illegal immigrant voters, and was like, I do not think the Democrats are going to let this man run again.
No, I
just
don't. I don't think so either. But if they bring in a candidate that's more electable and register 8 million illegal immigrants or find a pathway for them to vote, whether they're a citizen or not, that's going to make it very difficult. I can't imagine.
I agree with you, but I'm telling you, I don't care if they can do 16 million. They're not letting this man run again.
No, I would agree with that one. I mean, right now that we're talking about white supremacy as being the biggest threat to our country. And right now he's got the FBI, the White House is bringing in the FBI to basically label a parent that challenges a school board or questions a school board or raises their voice at a school board meeting and deem them a domestic terrorist. It is so far beyond what I could ever imagine. It's not even believable.
Well, I'm not trying to be rude about the FBI, but they're following around Dog the Bounty Hunter to find the idiot that killed the girl. So, I mean, let's get real here.
So the parents out there, they're still safe. If you challenged your school board over mask mandates or critical race theory, you're probably okay.
They can't find Brian Landry. They're following around Dog the Bounty Hunter to do it. So I don't know about all that, but
many more supply issues coming down the chain, it looks like.
Oh, they just talked about that too. Oh, Sheree, you don't listen to the podcast, but if you do, you need to get all my Christmas presents now because we're not going to have Christmas.
I think you might be too late. I really do. It's getting bad. Really, really bad. And I think it's more to do, we could throw it at China, we could throw it at COVID, whatever you want. It's just the fact that there's enough handouts out there. People do not have to work and they can enjoy a nice, happy life doing very little.
Well, I don't like they were talking about on Fox and Friends this morning or whatever that like people can't get bacon some places. I'm like, what is going on here? Like,
no, it's real. Our good friend Matt Clay said he could not find. He's very odd about this, and I do the same thing. I will go to a couple different grocery stores and monitor beef prices or meat prices and just different things. He went to 3 grocery stores in Lafayette, could not find eggs. And I haven't heard this being a shortage, but I think you're going to hit those random things. I know when I go into the stores now, there are sections of those shelves that are pretty empty. So it's definitely happening. And right when we have all of this going on, when we're not bringing as much supply in from China, it's not moving efficiently around the country. This is when, in a normal situation, small businesses would thrive, Ryan. They find that issue, they find that niche, and they jump in there and they fill that gap, and they thrive and they take care of these things. That's the wonder of small businesses. They can jump in and adapt and fix, I guess, some of the problems. In doing so, hopefully profit from it. Right now, there's such a shortage in workers.
I think small businesses don't have anybody working.
No, as soon as right when we need them the most, Biden has absolutely strangled them by not. I guess from the standpoint that small business can't hire enough people to do those things. Not only are we not having new small business startups like we have in the past, the ones that exist can't get enough employees to meet the demand. So it's a mess. It is. I don't want to be the doom and gloom, and we make a point to rainbows and unicorns and butterfly things, but it's a mess, people. Absolute mess.
I cannot. I mean, again, I travel more than any person I know. I'm not saying I'm the most traveled person in the world, but like, I cannot tell y'all, there is not a place that I don't go, gas station, restaurant, hotel, whatever, anywhere that there is not a now hiring help wanted sign up. It's just, it is the craziest thing I have ever seen. And it does not matter what state it is, what part of the country, it is everywhere.
It is. It's pretty amazing. Ryan, I went out, I think Saturday night there in Florida, walked up and down just the beach area, that Ocean Bowl. There wasn't, I probably went past 20 shops. I'm going to guess, and I didn't look at every one of them, nearly every single shop had a help wanted in the window. And it's just, you're right. You see it everywhere. It doesn't matter what the business even is.
I cannot believe that we are to this point in America that they would rather just not work and live off the government. But that looks like what it's at. And if Joe and Nancy get their way, that is socialism. I mean,
it is. No, it's nothing short of that. Absolutely nothing.
I mean, that's what they're pushing for.
Hey, Ryan, I did get on a plane this weekend to go to Florida, by the way.
Yes, I'm very well aware you got on a plane to go to Florida.
You know what? It was okay.
Yeah, because your wife went with you.
She ran blocker. She took that middle seat. She knows that the issues that I have, it was all very good. How about the hotels, Ryan? And most of them that I've stayed at recently, but I'm probably staying at a much less expensive hotel than some. Most of the time they're asking you have to request maid service now rather
you
than
have
just
to
being
request
automatic.
maid service at any hotel. It's still terrible.
And I assume, I mean, we could call it COVID. We could call a lot of things. They just can't get the help is what I'm assuming.
No, but they're blaming COVID on this.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, they're saying it's because of COVID. I think it is because they don't have enough people to work to clean every room, but they are still blaming the Rona on it all.
Yeah.
Which I guess they can technically do that because everybody was working before the Rona. So I guess they can blame it on Rona and be partially correct, but I don't think that's the real case anymore. I don't think they are worried about coming into a room and contaminating something because one of the squad members, speaking of Rona, one of the squad members got caught on a hot mic saying that she really doesn't believe in masks. She just does it because she just wears them because she knows she has to because people watch her.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, our environmental czar, Mr. Green, John Kerry, that flies his private jet everywhere.
Ugh.
He came out in an interview and basically, I'm sure it wasn't intentional, but acknowledged that
Joe Biden didn't know anything.
Yes, he didn't know that we had some agreement, and we messed up everything with France and Australia on their
over the submarine
subs.
deal. And he said John Kerry said that Joe knew nothing about it.
Nothing about it. It just amazes me.
I was like,
it just continues.
Excuse me, did you really say that, sir? Did you say that? You did. On TV. Okay. And then, of course, your girlfriend, Jen Psaki, said, that is not what he meant by that. He said he didn't know what happened.
How does Circle Back stand up there and continue just to lie? That
woman is either the most devoted or delusional person I have ever met in my life because I don't know. I wonder how much she drinks at night.
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, because wow.
I mean, she has got a tough job, but she just gets up there and she doesn't hold back. She just lies. Period.
Well, you know that she knows she's lying. Just you can watch that John Kerry interview. There is no other way to take it. I encourage people that are listening to this, listen to what John Kerry says. He says that Joe Biden had no idea that doing this deal was going to, piss off France and all this other stuff. And
to the most, not just a little bit, to the most.
I mean, rip the ambassador out of America, bye, see you, whatever, and all this other stuff. And then just that is not what he meant. You're taking Secretary Kerry's words out of context. No, bitch. No. Sorry.
It's very clear. Very clear.
Just saying. But yeah, I don't. That woman, I just don't like. And normally the press secretary gal, and it could be a man too. Whatever. I'm not being sexist about it, but most times it's a woman. But normally they've rotated through one already. I would have thought. I can't believe this woman has not just been I'm leaving. I quit. I'm out of here.
She seems very devoted to standing there and lying.
Maybe she's his illegitimate child and we don't know it. I mean, I'm just saying.
We may be missing something there.
Because, wow, she is the most devoted. But before we move on to the main topic, and you may have more current events.
No, I'm good.
Need to talk about a couple of things beyond the Ring Junior Livestock Association because we started Membership Friday. Thank you for all of you who has signed up your kiddos, or thanks to the kids if they signed up themselves. And if you haven't signed up, we don't start till January 1st. Point Year doesn't start till January 1st, 2022. So continue to sign up because of the great sponsorship and the number of members that we have already. We have decided that we are not going to charge sanctioning fees for 2022. And we want these kids to have every opportunity to succeed in this organization. And we've got a bunch of shows already sanctioned before we did this, but we just want to make sure that every show in America can be a BTR JLA sanctioned show and give these kids every opportunity they can to succeed in this deal. So we're just going to take that financial hit and say, all you got to do is fill out your sanctioning form, send it in to us so you can get on the calendar, and then send us the show results after for this first year.
That simple. It is that simple. And thank you to all the sponsors, Ryan. I'm overwhelmed with how many sponsors we have at both the state, the region, and the national level, and the corporate sponsorship that's come in. And that first 12 hours of membership, Ryan, it was crazy, wasn't it?
Oh, and it's steady. Like, that's why we did this, because we're so thankful for everybody signing up and wanting to be a part of this, that we're just going to make it as easy as these shows can so these kids have every single chance. And talking about sponsors, I don't have their bio, and this won't count against won't count for one of their podcast things, but Showcoat Solutions came on board last night as
Excellent.
A corporate sponsor, and we appreciate them for that. Look forward to working with them. The national sheep sponsor is Platinum Shelton Livestock, and their goal is to focus on ewe families to consistently produce high-end sheep for their customers that can go out and compete everywhere from the county fair to state and national levels. And so we really appreciate Platinum Shelton Livestock for being our national sheep sponsor. Be honest with you, we've got more spots available for national sponsors. We still need a pig and a goat sponsor, and we've got 2 top 10 jacket sponsorships available. People always asking me what's available. So that's about it on the national level. Got lots of regional stuff open. And again, not trying to make this a commercial, but speaking of regional sponsors, I want to thank the Region 5 hog sponsor, which is Putney Show Pigs. They began in 1983. They're a family-run operation. They've had tremendous success in the crossbred and Berkshire breeds. Their philosophy is they'll only sell pigs that will be competitive for the exhibitor who purchased them. They have a thriving business based on repeat customers, and they take great pride in producing quality show pigs that make their customers successful year after year. So we, again, thank you, Region 5 hog sponsor, Putney Show Pigs.
It's all these people that allowed us to just say, okay, no sanctioning fees for 2022. And I'm going to throw one last thing out there, and I don't want to go too long on this. All of those that are contacting me or contacting Ryan or posting on Facebook, is there any shows sanctioned in our area? It's real simple. If you know you're going to be going to shows A, B, and C, go to that person or whoever's in charge of that, or contact somebody at that show and just tell them, guys, it's real simple. Here, I will print the form out for you. You just need to fill this out and make sure to get them the results afterwards. If you fill the form out, you get on the calendar, hopefully get more recognition, get more people to the show. And on top of it, all you have to do is send the results in, no fee whatsoever. So all of those junior members out there that have already signed up or going to sign up, any show you go to, just say, hey, can you fill this form out so we can get points for this particular show? It's that simple. There's no downside for the show to do it. We don't change anything they're doing. All we ask is they fill the form out so we can put them on the calendar. Even if they're not on the calendar, get us the results afterwards, and we can get those posted and get points for those kids.
Yeah. But again, just trying to make it as simple as possible. And people are asking about the calendar, and November 1st, we will have a calendar up on our website that with the sanctioned shows for January and February. So we'll have that up there shortly. But again, just thankful for everybody for the sponsorship and the memberships for the Beyond the Ring Junior Livestock Association.
Are you ready, Ryan?
Yes.
Monkey see, monkey do.
And this is actually Dale's topic. Dale finally, he didn't name it, but he came up with the topic, and I named it. But
I just explained it, and I couldn't put wording to it. And you were standing in the sand in the cattle arena, and it took you less than 30 seconds for a name for the title.
Because I'm quick like that,
And it was, I guess we could start out with what encouraged us. And I think you brought it up first, though, the issue that we were having there.
Oh, well, like Dale, I don't know. Dale never noticed this before.
Well, I noticed, but I guess I've seen it, but I thought it was a higher percentage. Maybe I was just more aware of it.
What?
I've not seen that many come in that stiff.
Oh, anyway, we were judging cattle, and like I called this move the Statue of Liberty, but like I don't know what anybody else calls it, but like when they come in and they've got their show stick like so high up in the air that it looks like the Statue of Liberty holding her torch. So yeah, that was what our problem. And Dale just was having a fit.
Everything's stiff. Like I don't even know how they walk.
And Dale was just having a fit, and I was like, I see this every week. I don't know what your problem is. Like, and so he's like, why would they do this? He says, did they see somebody else do this? I said, I guess. And he's like, this is a podcast topic. I was like, there you go. Monkey see, monkey do. And so I guess that's our topic this week. We're going to talk about things, whether they're good or bad, that probably just got generated because one person saw somebody do it and they thought, hey, they're doing it. I'll do this.
No, I think that's how a lot of things happen, not just in our industry, but in the world. And this one in the cattle arena, and again, it's personal preference. And I told those kids down there, some of them that were coming back out of those heats for that final showmanship drive, against Ryan's better wishes, I would encourage them to relax a little bit and come in a little bit more natural. And I appreciate if I can make a suggestion and they implement it. I'm not going to hold the past against them by any means. So I went ahead and did some of that, and it is interesting. And I asked and visited with some of those kids about different things, and I like to find out. And it's just a matter. I think there was one of them, Ryan, I had asked because I think this one had come in earlier and was pretty natural and pretty good. And then all of a sudden we went to Statue of Liberty, and I asked why. Well, I saw somebody else do it. So that's just where we're at. And there are some good and there are some bad, and it just is what it is. So we're going to talk about some of those things.
Statue of Liberty is bad, by the way. Just right now, do not do this. Do not do it.
Yeah, it's distracting in my opinion. And when you get the show stick and everything up there so high, it's more about how stiff and unnatural you look in your body movement. Does that make sense?
It's just bad. It's just bad. Don't do it.
Now, guess what? Now, these young showmen are going to go to their next show, and the next showmanship judge is going to be just fine with it. So just because Ryan and I do not like it doesn't mean that somebody else isn't going to be fine with it.
Yes, it does. It matters. Don't do it. I don't like it. Don't do it. It matters.
Done. Over.
I'm just saying, don't do it. Don't. It's bad. It's bad. Bad.
Yep, I get it. What about let's go to another one. And we're starting out a little on the negative side, and I promise to bring some of the monkey see, monkey do positives into play. I noticed, Ryan, and you know how excited I was just to be in the ring with you and sort some American cattle. Anytime I get to see American cattle, I get excited. And there was a family there, a young lady that drugged some American cattle into the ring in Florida that they were very good, and she did very well. Ryan, did you notice she did not have a large fan base?
No, she does not. But I mean, and Dale was having heart attack, by the way, because she's like, they did a top 5 like American heifers, and she won the whole thing, like all 5. And I was like, I don't know what to do, dude. Like, this is it.
I mean, they were that good.
She won all, like 11. Like there was 11 classes American heifers. She won like 8 of them. So I'm like, I don't know what to tell you here, sir. But
yeah, there's no getting around it. And I guess that's one of the things when they're in, and Ryan had a very, very popular post about this after basically a rant. Then you were leaving one of the Ohio shows.
I was just angry.
it's interesting that once there's a family that's having that kind of success, there may be somebody that's kind of against it, and one person notices that they're being negative, and it kind of snowballs to where at this particular show, and this show was great. I enjoyed it, all those things, great people, but she probably received less applause than others. Is that a fair statement?
You think?
Yes, very, very much so. So sometimes it's not always good by any means.
And like when I did that rant on Facebook, it was again. I think people thought that I was mad that the people were having this reaction to my judging. No, that was not it at all. I could literally care less what people think about me, but I was just angry at that county fair that these three groups of people in the stands were having this reaction when this little boy and his brother kept winning. Because, like, it's like, if I see this, other people are seeing this, and you're just taking a child's moment away. And again, I've been that child where, like, I mean, it was so bad when I was a kid, people just pulled against me. They didn't care who won as long as it wasn't me. And so I understand that, and I identify with those situations. So yeah, it got me, and then and Dale didn't answer the phone, and Kelly didn't answer the phone, so I had no one to rant to, so I ran it on Facebook. There you go.
And it seemed popular.
Very,
very popular. I'm going to take it to another one. We're going to jump species here a little bit. We're going to go into the goats. And I have not been in the goat industry long enough to understand this one, and I have not discussed this, I don't believe, with Ryan ever, but I know where he's at on it. I don't know when it started, but it obviously started somewhere, and we assume everybody else just followed path. The poodle ball on the end of the tail.
Oh, what is that?
I don't know.
What is that?
I can't answer that. But you want to know a good thing? When we got into this, I don't know, 10 years ago or so, I couldn't do it. We just shaved that baby right off. I'm assuming others were not allowing that poodle ball to be on there, but there wasn't many. The good thing is, fortunately, there are far less poodle balls now than there were a few years ago.
Well, if you did that, congratulations to you, sir. Because
I don't know that we were the trend leader to get rid of it, but we never went down that path.
I don't see them nearly as much as I used to.
Here's where I want to be on this one, and we can apply this to so many other things. What we need to just stop when we see something, and instead of just doing it, we need to stop and ask ourselves why. What is the purpose? And everybody says, well, you're thinking outside the box, you're doing this or that. I don't look at it that way. I look at it as if you're going to do something, whether it's fitting or fiending, whatever it may be in life, there needs to be a reason or a purpose for it. And I just cannot come up with a purpose on the poodle ball on the end of a goat's tail.
No. And like, I had several families that showed goats that also showed cattle for me. And then my mother got on this weird tangent for 3 years that she hated our county agent. She's always hated our county agent, but like, he pissed her off again about 10 years ago. And so she got all her friends' children to show at the county fair. So we had goats and sheep and pigs and cows. And I mean, everything. I was like old McDonald's farm. But anyway, like, I've never understood why people thought that was a cute look. It's like when they make the cattle tails look like a big old cotton ball. No, bad idea. Bad. But yeah.
I think in the cattle, and I'm going to date myself here a little bit. I remember an explanation, maybe when I was in junior high or high school, that somebody that was doing a tail, they were just trying to fill in the gap between the hind legs.
Yeah, and that doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. But
work.
At least they had an explanation of what their thought.
And I have been told that same thing, and it just does not work. And so, and again, if you're trying to like keep that
whatever,
making a big old fluffy, thing is not going to keep you from noticing that. It's just going to make you notice it more. But terrible.
While we're on that big old fluffy tail, what about twine, and more twine?
And I don't, and like, Dale, maybe since you're the goat guru, you'll understand this, but like, I think the cool thing these days, and I don't know why, but the cool thing these days is for all the cattle fitters to come over to the goat barn and like fit on some goats. Now, can you explain that to me first? Because like
I think part of it is in the goat arena. There's some people that have been showing goats, and the fitting of the legs is more recent the past few years. Partially because goats in the past just did not have leg hair, and with that,
that's your fault.
We still have no. We have plenty of leg hair.
No, I know you're the reason this is popular. I'm saying that's your fault.
So the goats, there's still genetic lines out there that don't have leg hair, and you know what a bare-legged sheep or a bare-legged goat looks like compared to a big shaggy. It just doesn't. It doesn't work. It doesn't balance. The dynamics not there. All those. So the only option is to throw some fake hair or twine or whatever you want to throw on there. So the goat showing families are recruiting their cattle kid friends over there, and some of them come over and do a phenomenal job, and some it's just a train wreck.
Well, I just Oklahoma State Fair, and so anyway, again, I talk to the crowd when I'm giving reasons, and I look up, and I'm like, "What are all you cattle people doing in here? You know, can't be here to watch me judge goats." And so then, of course, backdrop pictures, and like every cattle person, basically. I mean, I bet there was like 10 cattle people that came and stood in goat backdrop pictures. I was like, "What are y'all doing?" But the twine thing. I'm just going to tell you, and I don't know how many times I can say this on here and people not listen to me, but I'm going to say it again. I get it. You think it's cool and all this other stuff. If you can do it and it looks immaculate and wonderful and almost like you can't tell that that's actually fake hair or twine on there, then get with it, because I'm going to tell you as a judge, that just alerts me that someone that is very, very talented took time and effort in putting this animal together. Now, if you aren't in the 5% of the world's population, maybe less than that can do it and make it look natural and immaculate and all this other stuff, for the love of God, don't. Okay? Just don't.
It's that simple.
Just don't do it.
And good, bad, and different, whether you try to block it out, the subconscious is going to come into play.
Because then it is the other thing is, what idiot put this plaster of Paris on these legs of this goat or calf or whatever? And I did. So just don't. And I want to say this, even when it is immaculately done and all this other, I still know that it's there. And so I'm going to be able to read through that. So I don't understand it.
No, but we do
don't.
appreciate the talents and abilities when one is done extremely well and the whole animals fit well, presented well.
No, I love it when it's done well. But 95% of the time,
it is.
It's
and
not.
Those are, we're not.
And then people get mad at me because I call it out on the microphone and they get their feelings hurt. But like, I can't handle. I just, you know me. I can't not say it. I can't. I try. I can't.
Was it a heifer or steer in Florida that we had one side twined?
Yeah, and it was your turn on the mic, and you didn't say anything.
I did not. And
your
I'm
turn.
going to call it.
And you said nothing. You did not call it out. And I called you out for not calling it out.
It wasn't good either, was it?
Yeah, they did one side of the flank.
And it was pretty drastic. Let's just say it was.
One side. Well, the flank on the heifer was black, and they painted the twine white. So yeah, it was
maybe. And I'm going to say that you were moving through them quick enough that they just didn't have time to do the other side. Maybe that was it.
Okay, blame me. Whatever. You were in the ring too. Big shot.
Let's go and let's bounce around. We're going to keep going around. What about the popular showing style in sheep? And I understand the purpose. There is at least a why for it. When we get way, way, way low, and I can only imagine initially this started by somebody that understood that lower pressure is maybe going to help get that top line right and maybe get a firmer, harder brace on it. But all of a sudden, you see a few people doing it that are having success. Now everybody's basically sitting on the ground. And Ryan, last time I checked, they were not getting a harder brace than the kids that were a little more upright. It just looks a little bit unnatural to me. I know it's popular. I don't beat somebody up for it by any means in the show. But I think we forgot again why did that person that had success initially, or the kids that initially had success doing that, do it? They were obviously doing it to try to accomplish something, but then it snowballed, and now people just do it to do it, even though it may not be serving a purpose on that individual sheep.
On the whole sheep and goat showing styles and all this stuff, like, if that's what it takes to get your sheep to brace the most effectively, I'm all for it. But I'm not going to lie to you. It's like when they're doing the splits out there in the middle of the ring and they're literally like 3 inches from the dirt and the sheep is not flexed or braced or anything, I'm like, you're really doing a lot here for no reason. Like, you're working really hard here and we're not getting any effect out.
No, and I want to help Ryan with that cause. As long as if you're down there and that sheep's driving and you're getting that upward pressure that you need for that, for whatever reason, maybe that sheep's just a little easy in the top or whatever it is. If there's a reason that I don't care how you position yourself. Obviously, try to make it look as natural as you physically can, but do what you can with that individual animal, whether it's a goat, a sheep. I don't care what species we're showing, and I don't mind going outside of the norm a little bit to try to enhance that animal's ability to look or handle better. But don't just do it because you see somebody else doing it and not understanding why. No purpose. Go back to, why is this happening? What is the purpose?
Yeah.
And I'm going to say for most kids, especially some of the smaller kids, Ryan, when they're in that position, they don't have a lot of their ability to get into that lamb and really get a hard brace is not the best always.
See, I'm the only person that thinks small children have an advantage in lambs and goats because they can just throw their whole damn body into that sheep. And so,
and they do because they have to.
I think little kids could, if they're trained properly, can have an advantage over the older kids in showing sheep and goats because you can literally, you're smaller and you can just throw your whole body into that thing. But again, I think do what you have to do to get that one shown the best you can. And if that means you got to like do the splits and be 2 inches up off the ground, it's fine. But it's very distracting. And then when you handle that thing and then there's just nothing there, I'm like, oh, you were doing a whole lot of work for nothing here. But next.
No, I would agree. And we haven't talked a lot about the positive side, but I'm going to use the show this weekend, Ryan, just as an example. That's the first time I've been to Florida to sort livestock. And in general, there were a lot of kids that came into all 3 species that we judged that had a pretty good idea where they were going in the ring and their ability to get one shown. Things were good. Obviously, watching others, I never want to discourage us. Watch those kids that are having success and imitate some of the things they're doing. But in that process, think through, well, why is she doing that or why is he doing that? Don't just imitate. Think through the process and try to educate yourself, and don't be afraid to step out and do something just a little bit different if you think there's a purpose for it. Does that make sense, Ryan?
No, yeah, like I get that one of the ways you learn is by watching people that are successful and try to like imitate what they do. But also, if you can't do it like them, then probably do what works for you and be an individual. Which, speaking of, again, I'm not trying to be negative, but I just got to bring this up. So, talking about people watching what other people's doing, just doing it, you do realize that is how the supplement industry began and stays thriving, right? They see one person in the pig barn that won a banner and they have like a whole rack full of supplements, so everybody else goes and buys one.
I was going to try to leave that alone.
No,
because
I'm not.
you know I go down that path too often.
I'm not, but
and I'm going to bring in just go back to the purpose of the why. I will look, whether it's cattle or hogs or whatever it is. We may have a bucket of fat and we may have a bucket of primarily lysine. And we're going to put a scoop of each in that pig feed. One of them is burning fat. The other one's bringing calories up to put on. We're canceling each other out more times than not and giving the animal a bellyache in the process.
I'm just telling you that is how supplements stay thriving, is everybody sees somebody who wins and whatever, and then they go buy it. But again, I am not against supplement industry. I'm not against these people. I think there are supplements that do work, lots of them. I will say, as I have always said, I do not think there is one supplement that fixes everything. And then that's just how it is. I think there are supplements out there that can help animals and be advantageous to your feeding program. I also think that there is a whole lot of overkill on it all.
A lot of overkill, and the supplements, in theory, if they're a truly good supplement, they're not going to advertise that they can fix soundness, they can gain muscle, they can take fat off the jowl and not anywhere else. The more things we claim they can do, the less likely it's going to happen. But there are supplements that have a purpose. And if you understand that and can implement that into your feeding program, and you're doing it for a reason, not because the person pinned next to you at State Fair did it, but actually for a reason with a purpose that is biologically sound structured. It's founded with some science and some understanding that this is why if I feed this may help or help change the animal in a certain way. And again, guys, we're talking minimal changes. We're not talking a magic wand and bam, we've got something twice as heavy muscled or super cool up through the front end or whatever. So just go back to that why. What is the purpose? Why am I feeding this specific supplement? And my recommendation to you, if you walk into your feed room and you can't tell me what supplements A, B, C, D, E, what each and every one of them does and the purpose behind them, you probably shouldn't be using them. And again, it needs to be something that you're doing it for a reason, and there's scientific evidence that biologically this is going to make a difference. Without that, it just doesn't make any sense.
So I have two positive monkey see, monkey do things.
Great.
Mm-hmm. And you may not think they're positive. I think they're positive. But anyway, I like the hairy hogs. I do. I think it's cool.
I have hairy hogs written down here on my little note.
I like the hairy hogs. I think it's cool. I don't know who started that thing, but I like it. I like it much better than when we were shaving them like with surgicals or like it was, or even just in recent history, it was pretty tightly clipped. I like the hairy hogs. I think it's cool.
I'm gonna tweak it just a little bit. I don't mind the hairy hogs, but I want it groomed just a little bit. I want them neat. I like. How about the blocked hogs? So let's clean up the jowl and let's not just leave them shaggy, unkept look.
No, I mean, I think they leave them shaggy where they think it needs to be shaggy, like the feet, the legs, the body, stuff like that. No, I mean, it's all got to be clipped. Yeah, but like, I'm just saying, I think this is a cool trend. I like it. And then I get to say funny stuff like when one super shaggy comes in, they're like, yeah, these people thought they were showing to a steer jockey. That's why they left that one so hairy. I love saying that on mic. It's great laughs. But
well, it's interesting. You go all the way back to the 60s and 70s, Ryan. They were shearing, clipping hogs back then. And then we kind of, somewhere in the 70s, they just stopped. And it was almost reinvented again. I'm not saying everybody in the country stopped, but I can remember a Hampshire family, the Earnhardt family in Indiana, northern Indiana. They'd asked me to come over and clip a Hampshire boar before they went to Indiana State Fair. And this boar was wild, radical, just bare lean, ripped up. I mean, pretty popular, named the Ritz. He was one of the high-selling boars. He kind of started that high-end boar dollar, or the boar stud spending a lot of money that year. And it was probably in the late 80s, early 90s. But that at that time, clipping was just kind of coming back, and you could almost get away with clipping one. And if you were smart about it, nobody even knew it happened. They just saw, wow, that one's got a unique presence where the one beside it hadn't been touched at all. And it wasn't as much that way. Pretty amazing. But I'm with you. I like shaggy hogs way better than scalped hogs.
And you probably won't agree with this too. I like the big shag on the sheep. I think it's fun. On the legs, I think it's fun. But I don't understand.
I'm okay with it. I don't know about the huge bell bottom on them. Where
some of them have like fetlocks, like Clydesdales. It's great. I love it. I think it's so cool. But one thing, and like I want, and this is not hating, because I think this is a very positive thing. I think it's cool, but I want someone to like reach out to us and tell us this. I cannot get my head around how the wrapping of the legs promotes hair growth.
Okay, I can help you with this one. And
Okay.
I get asked all the time, should we wrap the goat's legs? Again, I am not feeding a lot of sheep, but I feel very comfortable that I visit with plenty of people that have plenty of success in the sheep arena. The ones that I visit with will tell me, the ones that I respect a great deal will tell me that they're not promoting any wool or hair growth. It's simply protecting that lamb from wool picking, whether you got another one in with it that's going to pick the wool or that one itself. Now, I know some people will tell you that it stimulates growth, but
sense now.
There is no biological reason that could possibly stimulate growth.
I was fixing to say, there's no way this is helping things.
No,
absolutely no way.
And it takes so much time. If you get it too tight, you're cutting off circulation. It's a lot of work if it wasn't helping something.
Okay, that makes so much more sense now because
you feel better about it now.
Yes, because I was sitting there, I was going, I don't see how this helps anything. Because I that was my thing. Like, what if you cut off the circulation and like, I mean, yeah. So I feel so much better now because now I have logical. Because you see this all the time. I'm just like, I don't think this works, but I get
now.
That.
There's going to be listeners out there that I'm sure are going to say it does stimulate hair growth or wool growth, but the ones that I'm talking to that I have a great deal of respect for, they say it's simply to prevent them from wool picking.
I got it. I feel better now.
You are there.
Yeah, I was the most confused, to be honest. I was like, I thought that went like, because I liked the shaggy legs, but I thought this was a monkey see, monkey do negative thing. They saw one person do this and everybody's like, ooh, this is going to make me grow more.
But I think there's a little bit of monkey see, monkey do, and maybe even some not realizing why we're doing it. It still happens, but it's a good thing if it does protect that from happening, obviously. Mm-hmm. I'm going to jump back in the hog species for you real quick. Uh-huh. If I go back, and I'm dating myself here a little bit, there was a family showing hogs in Illinois in the late 80s. The two children were Dana and Craig Maloney. Father was Rick Maloney, at the time was the secretary of the Hampshire breed. And this family in the north, and I can't speak for Oklahoma, Texas, or the South, but in the north, they were ahead of the curve on getting these pigs so trained to come into the ring and just nail it. And in my mind, they almost set a little bit of a trend, but people didn't even realize it for years, that they would not jack those heads up like we see today, where they're so high that they're having a hard time even moving out of their front end. But those hogs would come in, and that head was just above level, and they were just arrogant and cocky enough that everybody say, well, how is it that every one of their hogs is so attractive in the ring? And in that, I'm not saying they didn't select for that and find hogs that were good looking, but that was part of it. It changes that whole dynamic when the rest the population hogs are down sniffing the shavings and the heads drop down a little bit low and they haven't been out walking for miles at home. They're not going to throw that cocky, arrogant look at you. And these two, it's now Dana Goss. It was at that time Dana Maloney, but they were so far ahead of the curve. It was incredible from that standpoint. And I think this is a good monkey see, monkey do. It's slowly evolved where a few people, and I'm not saying that they invented this, but they were one of the first ones that I remember seeing do this. And it's to the point now where we've gone from let's get them level headed to a little bit up, but we've gone so hard that we're bringing two whips in the ring. We're doing everything he can. We're tap, 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 and we're getting that head cranked up so high. And Ryan and I have talked about this. We're inhibiting that front end movement. Some hogs just can't lift their head up and still walk. So we've got to be careful. Remember that purpose, that why. If we can get that head up and figure out where that head carriage can be and they can still get out and flex and go, that's where we want to be. But no question, there's a monkey see, monkey do. But Ryan, have we maybe gone too far with it in some situations?
When I judge hogs, I think people like go overboard on it on me because everybody knows like I like a sexy fronted creature. And so like everybody in the back is beating into the skulls and brains of the showman. You've got to get that head up. Well, again, when you try to like get the head up so high that the pig is uncomfortable, that inhibits the movement. And while I do like a sexy up fronted head and neck carriage on a hog, I like a sound hog more. And maybe that's everybody. I just thought it was under me more than most because of what the attributes I select for. But you brought up the 2 whips or whatever. And like, I'm going to be honest with you. When I see a kid with 2 whips, it's either really good or really bad. And I would never suggest this in showmanship because but there are kids that obviously they bring 2 whips in for a reason, all this other stuff. And it is just obvious, beyond obvious. You can tell if that kid has done this, worked this hog with 2 whips, whatever, and they know or this is just some kid that saw somebody else do this and thinks this is what they need to do to be cool.
No, I'm with you. And in the hog thing, we went from, and I'm sure there's something before this, but there was very common. They used to show with a cane. One person showed with a cane, everybody grabbed it. They were showing with whips for a while, long ago. And then do you remember we used to have orange pipes in the ditches here that marked telephone.
I remember everybody showing with a pipe.
And they just go steal the orange pipes out of the ditches from the telephone company, and everybody's on a pipe. And now I'm going to say we're 99% whips at this point.
Yes.
I mean, occasionally you might see something else come in, and I think that's a monkey see, monkey do. Those are trends that continue to evolve, and it just does. So Ryan talking about that, and Ryan, I think they probably do exaggerate it to you a little bit, but I do think it's that extreme in most hog shows, and I can see why you would think that because they're cranking them way up there, those heads on those hogs, where they're just not getting out and going. Would you not agree, Ryan? If we can get a lamb that holds its top perfect and we don't have to tap it and push it down when we're on the move, if we get a pig that comes in there or a goat or a calf and they just put that head up and they want to just go out and move with us doing very little to encourage that, they do it on their own. Or the more we can make it look like this is the animal's natural presence, isn't that where we want to be? And don't show our cards that we're doing everything we can to crank that head up, or we're grinding down on that lamb's top. We want those to look as good as they possibly can in the judge's mind from a natural sense, if possible. Even if we're doing something, let's hide it. How's that sound?
No, I agree completely.
I have one more thing. Our good friend Will Winters.
What are you going to say about Will? Be nice.
I'm going to be nice, but I can go back in the 80s and remember mullets were pretty popular. Pretty popular. And then I'm going to throw it at Will. I'm just going to. And then
you think like he started the mullet craze again?
I don't know if he did, but I'm going to make him the poster child. and I love Will to death, but I'm going to put him up there as a poster child. I don't know when it came back in, but it seemed to fade away for a while, and then it came back in really hard in the swine arena. But guess what, Ryan?
It is. But now it is. Ship. But it is left. It is still in the swine arena, but it is all species now. Mullets are back.
They are back. They have really jumped out of the swine. Heck, they might even be on the downtrend in the swine arena and on the uptrend in the others. I don't know, but we're gonna acknowledge that Will, you played a role in this.
He'll be so glad.
He will. He'll be happy with that. Well, Ryan, that's a lot of what I have, and I hope it was entertaining enough, and we brought out some things that are good and some things that are bad. And I want to encourage showmen out there and families, stock show families, watch what those others are doing. And we've encouraged this before, but not only watch and imitate, but let's try to think through why are they doing this and what's the purpose? Ask that question, why? Why am I going to go out there and show like this? Or why am I going to do A, B, and C? Or what is the purpose of this supplement? Why do I want to crank that head up so high they can't walk? You don't. Let's bring it up just high enough that he's good looking, but not inhibiting that movement. Think through everything you do. And if you have to do something that's a little different, if you need to almost set on the ground on a lamb or a goat to get that upward pressure, to get that top line right, or because that animal responds better to that, absolutely do it. Don't just do things because you saw somebody else do it and you're not even sure why. That's my summation of it.
Wear the mullet.
Wear the mullet. I'm in on the mullet. You do know what time it is.
Oh Lord!
By the way, it is pretty early here in East Central Illinois.
You think?
I do. And Ryan, we didn't get a chance to visit, but I am the most proud of your Dallas Zebu sorting.
Oh, well, thank you.
The most proud.
I
And just
appreciate
in
that.
case they're listening, I am available for next year. I am there.
I told them that Del Hummel wants to judge Zebus. And
Do you know anybody that gets more excited about American cattle than me?
No, you were like a little kid in the candy store this weekend at Florida.
Those Brahmins, and only because you were there with me, I would have said that they were great ones, and you confirmed that they were really, really good.
Yes, they were. That girl is super tough, and like again, she has an awesome set. But whew, Lord, you were the most excited every time. It wasn't just hers. Every time a Brahmin came in. Now, you didn't get excited over the Beefmasters or the Branguses or the
Now, be
Simbra.
nice. I'm a fan of those as well, but those
No, it was not the same reaction. No, it wasn't.
Those Brahmins were really high end. They were very high end cattle. I did enjoy those a great deal. Okay, are we ready for question and answer? Are you ready? I'm going to step completely aside.
No. This is your part of the show you love.
We just like to bring in the listeners a little bit. Hey, the first one, I think it comes into your wheelhouse.
Oh, great! That means it's going to be terrible.
You're at a show.
Hate mail.
You are at a show every single week, period, and you see these differences. For example, our discussion in the top 5 steer selection in Florida. There was a heavier calf in there that I kind of liked, and we argued about where the weights were and things like that. Obviously, we can weigh them in light if there's no weigh back and fill them back up. There's a lot of things that revolve around how we turn our weight in, or if we're going to manipulate that animal and dry them out a little bit if they're taking actual weights. And that's what this question comes from. Scott submits a question. We are a family operation that tries to compete at a state level. As we're preparing to weigh in at the Tulsa State Fair, we know each animal is different, but give us some examples of how you manage feed and hydration up to and at the show, managing the weigh back and trying to get the animal in the proper class. Thank you, and we love the podcast. That's a pretty deep question.
Yeah, and without knowing the individual stats on the animal or species or anything like that, it's kind of impossible to give a real good answer. But I think, I don't know, like in all the other species, but when there's a weigh back in cattle, it's normally 5%. And so I know lots of people that are very successful that like literally push it to the edge. I am stressed out enough at a show that I try to do everything in my power to relieve stress because I know I'm going to be super stressed anyway. And so I don't play the push the way back thing at all. Like I want to be able to rest at night knowing that every single animal I have there is going to make way back. That is me, but
no, and Ryan, I love that because I like you when I'm at a show, even if my kids aren't showing, I'm just there supporting families that may.
It doesn't matter.
I have anxiety to the
level.
The
most.
I think it shortens my life every show that I
agree, and that is one thing that I don't have to do to make. So I don't like.
No, we're right there, and I'm never going to suggest a family write down a number that I think is going to be close because I don't want that child getting weighed out. There's just nothing positive that comes from that. But there are so many people that will push it. I mean, push it where we're taking the halters off or the chain off the goat to get them weighed because we're that tight on it. I think a lot of people should thank the people at the scales because I think some of them are a little generous and give them a pound or two sometimes, which as long as they're consistent with it, that's fine. But I'm going to answer Scott's question. I think when we go into feed and hydration, Scott, I'm going to simplify things. If you can make that animal look as good as he did when you left home in the show ring, we've accomplished something. Now, we all think we can make him look better in that last 24 hours, but sometimes we're fooling ourselves. And if they're not hydrated or if there's something not right and we hydrate them, we are going to make them look better. But in theory at home, everything should be right. I mean, all we're going to do is manage that fill a little bit and maybe try to harden them up ever so slightly. But I'm going to, and maybe this is something, Ryan, we could almost do a whole episode on, but I'm going to come to Ryan's camp. And I think we get so worried about getting into that lower class. So we look on the big side of the class that we're in. And there's a lot of mind games. When you say this, Ryan, at the show, when it's time to submit weight cards, that's when as many mind games are going on as any time.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's asking who's in this class, who's there.
I want this to be, and I've given you this I can't believe you picked this question after I already told you this topic. Like,
you did, yes. Now that I think about it.
I just like
we're gonna go into a full one on it.
Yeah. So this whole thing. But
so I'm gonna throw myself under the bus here. My kids would probably say, well, we need to do it differently. When we turn a weight in, 90% of the time we are going to weigh under what I submit by a pound. So I could push it 2, 3, 4 pounds every time with no problem, but I am that cautious not to weigh out. And I understand maybe we could look a little bigger in some of those classes, but I think, Ryan, it's more about just dumb luck. If you get tossed in with somebody that's got a really good one, heck, that might be the class you just bumped down into, or it might be the class that you bumped up into. We can't predict that. So I don't think we need to look little out there in class, but I think because of you and my philosophy in the ring sorting livestock, it doesn't come into play that this one's a little heavier than this one. It just doesn't matter. But I think because of that, we're not as concerned about taking every single pound, and we'd rather be able to breathe.
Yeah, that's my thing. Like when I was brokering steers or whatever, I never really worried about this because I knew every single one of them I had enough muscle and mass to be in whatever class, so it didn't matter. So I was like, I'm not going to sweat this. I'm just not. And
it's
so
done. We're done.
Yeah, just not going to do this. This is one thing that I don't have to do, and by God, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, but it is, Scott. It is something that we'll talk more about. And Ryan did. I think you just talked about hydration, didn't you, Ryan? As the topic that you kind of threw out there for us one time.
No, making the weight.
Making the weight. Got it.
Yeah.
We will bring this up. It'll be one we'll go into more detail, Scott, but hopefully that at least gives you our perspective.
No, I have a hydration one too, a fill one too, but you didn't want. Again, I give Dale all these topics, and then every week he's like, "We don't have a topic," and then I have to resubmit the list again.
Well, I got to scroll through all the text to find it, and
and he's like, "I don't have a topic. We don't have a topic," and I'm like, I resubmit the list again to him, and then whatever, and then he picks. So. And then he came up with this topic this week himself.
Just not the title. Okay, Chris tells us or submits one. I believe this came in through Facebook Messenger. And by the way, we do have people ask, and sometimes we're guilty of not pulling enough stuff off email. But Facebook Messenger, when we sit down to do this, I can pull that up very easy and just read right off of there. Chris, hello, Dale and Ryan. Have the two of you thought about hosting a livestock judging camp?
No.
I've thought about it. I pimp Ryan out to do it all the time.
No.
I think he would be the best at putting on reasoned camps.
No.
You would be good at it.
I have so much going on already. I do not have time for conferences or.
How about if we just leave that door just a little bit cracked open? We don't lock it just yet, Anya. So Chris,
I was not a very good coach. I'm just telling you. I just wasn't. This was not meant for me. I mean, I'm just telling you.
It didn't work out well, did it?
No, it did not. It did not.
But I do think you have a lot of information you could share, especially in the Reasons Room, if you want to give back just a little bit.
And again, I never say never, so I'm not saying whatever, but like I think possibly that a camp or something that might be okay. Do not get me in a competitive atmosphere situation judging team. It's not good for me. It is not.
It's kind of like the show day problem.
It is just not because like, again, and this is going to sound terrible and it's okay. I'll take the hate mail. It is very hard for me when I was brokering animals to be like, this one kid's got to go out there and like, 5 of us have worked a year for this moment. And then you have to put all your faith and trust in that person to go out there and get the job done. And I handpicked the family. So it wasn't like I didn't have faith and it was still very difficult for me. So then you magnify that by like 5 kids on a judging team. And I have to put all my faith and trust. It's not a good situation. It's just not. It's not.
Chris,
I cannot tell you how bad a situation this is.
Oh, okay, so Chris, that is a yes. Ryan's going to keep the door open, and there's a maybe. We got a maybe.
Do no coaching, no competitive atmosphere. No, bad.
Okay, the next one, Ryan. We had somebody submit a question. I guess it would have been Sunday night. I had the opportunity to watch you two sort the showbiz at the Sands Cattle Show. It looked as though at times you were enjoying the discussion as you were deciding on how to line the animals up. I would love to hear what you were discussing. Now, I want you to take that down. No, time out. Don't disclose everything.
No, I'm not going to disclose everything, but I wanted to bring this up, and then we got whatever on current events, and I got sidetracked. But so when Dell and I did this together, we didn't even really talk about this beforehand. This just kind of happened. But we are a big fan of promoting the 2-judge system because, again, I think it makes things more fair. You can talk about things, all this other stuff. But how we did it was we went back and forth on the mic, like most people do. But if he had the mic, we gave very general comments like, I think that one needs to win or whatever. And we would talk for a couple minutes, and then I would just back up and let him go place them. Never was it something that I was because again, I mean, there was things that I would have done differently, but we talked about the big things. I would always address, okay, that one has to win or I'm going to be mad or, something like that. But other than that, we just let the other person go out there and do it. And I thought it worked very well because it kept it moving because you're not sitting there discussing every single placing.
Yeah, it was more let's kind of agree on who wins this one and just the philosophy in that class between maybe a couple animals if they're a different type, but both are good enough to maybe win. And they weren't always, I'm going to say we had pair switches here and there that I took one direction or you took one direction, but in general, I enjoyed that system even more than I thought I would from the standpoint that it was just easy. There was no issues. Other than you and I arguing about what type of female maybe I liked versus you like, but in general, it was enjoyable. It was fun. It's hard telling. Statue of Liberty maybe is what we're discussing when we're out there. I don't know.
My two favorite comments that Dell made the whole time were, number one, he's like, I get done talking a set of reasons or whatever. He's like, you really do describe every single animal in the class very accurately. I was like, oh.
Now,
well,
you took that the wrong way. I would let's say
really? How?
Okay.
There was no other way to take that other than you think that I just make shit up as I go along.
Yes, a little bit. So let me.
See, I don't. So how am I not supposed to take that offensively?
You need to allow me to clarify that. I'm going to say there was 11 in the class. You'd get 11 in the class. I'd get 4.
Exactly.
So I'm going to say this was 11 in this class. And okay, so I'm thinking I'm gonna actually really pay attention while he's got his back to these 11 cattle. And I'm going to listen to him. And I fully expected you to nail those first 5 or 6. Just boom. You always do. And I've paid attention when you're talking livestock on the top end. I don't get to see you sort a lot, but I have made a point to pay attention when you're sorting and describing the top end without looking at him because it's intriguing to me. And then when I'm thinking when he gets down into that 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, because not only was I paying attention then, Ryan, but I was also paying attention. I don't know how many classes we went through there, but rough calculation between all kinds of showmanship heats, lots of heifers, I don't know, 60, 70, 80 classes. It was maybe 6, 7, 8, 9 minutes of class. In other words, 11 head came in. We discussed it very briefly on the top end. You pulled them in. It did not take you very long, is what I'm getting at. And I'm thinking he has not studied this 6th through 11th hardly at all, other than when he pulled them in. And I'm thinking he's not going to get it. And I mean, you may have been a little more brief as you got down further, but at least on that class, you still remember the damn things. And I tried to get you. I tried to get you to catch you peeking a little bit, and I thought maybe there was one class that I did.
It irritates you.
It did bother me because I would have to seriously study and work at that to talk those bottom few calves that accurately. You can say, well, the bottom 3 are just not good enough for their skeleton or they need a little more power. It's easy to generalize, but when you're talking about some individual differences, I was impressed as much about the fact that you didn't study them that long as I was that you could talk that deep into that class, if that makes sense.
And then my other favorite comment Till made is like, Ryan, you just see everything so well and so clearly. You just have bad priorities.
that would have been in our heifer class, I'm assuming. If we could just fix your priorities, it would be amazing.
Oh,
if you would prioritize exactly like me, it'd just be great.
Oh, so funny.
So I would say I made them just a touch stouter on the female side, and then you'd make them just a touch better looking.
Exactly.
And that worked out fine. It bounced back and forth well, but that was good. I enjoyed myself down there. It was probably the most entertaining show having you out there with me that I've ever judged.
There you go.
Yeah,
never boring.
That's good. No, very, very good. Well, Ryan, it's been a good episode. I hope people enjoy Monkey See, Monkey Do. Until next week, be safe.
Y'all come back now, you hear, and happy 25th birthday to Fox News. Yay!